traders or settlers, Cherokees made their clothing from the fur of animals, the skin from animals, and they wove fiber from the inner fiber of the mulberry tree or from the hemp plant. So you can see that if they made anything like this bag that they wore or on their feet, that it would be pretty rough. And it would be. And if they were making anything without metal, you can see that this basket is pretty good, but it's not as tight as it could be with scraping and getting it closer together. So there's holes, little gaps that you could hold things in it, but it was not going to be good for other things like water or whatnot. So once they wove something, and we know this because people would put it in their diaries, they would draw some of the clothing and they would describe what the men and women were wearing. The only way we know about the weaving, because like archaeologists find things in the dirt, let's say that you took your jacket and you buried it. Well, 100 years from now, the zipper might be there, but not the cloth, right? It's just going to rot away. Well, that's what happened with all of the weavings, except for a skirt and a moccasin. And they found this in a cave, not down in the dirt, in a place called Clifty, Tennessee. And that skirt was almost whole. And the moccasin, the one, is now in Washington, D.C. at the Smithsonian Museum. Now, my husband says that that's because it belonged to Sasquatch. Now, let me explain. Bigfoot, right? You see people go out and they're trying to find Bigfoot, and they find a footprint. Well, he says, how come they only find one? How come they don't find two? Well, that's a good point. So he says the moccasin belonged to Bigfoot. Anyway, Dustin's waiting patiently to get to his part. But in the 1700s, traders started to come in. And Cherokees were very open to the idea of trading deer skin, bear skin, but deer skin mostly, for cloth and metal. And they were very interested in guns and ammunition. So what they traded for would have been the glass beads, like he has on his bandolier bag, and as a necklace. And what Dustin has is the type of bead that was very popular, and it's called a chevron bead, because at the end of it, because they blow it like a glass vase, they can put a star at each end of it, and it's called a chevron bead. So it's very valuable. And that came from Italy and present-day Czech Republic. So they would sell it, the traders would get it and bring it all the way over on the ships and then bring it and trade it. So they were also trading for the smaller beads and the bigger beads like these. These are also made out of glass. Now, before that, they would have used shells that they traded for with the coastal tribes. And then they really liked the metal. So Dustin has a metal circle on the bandolier bags and silver cones that would have been used for decoration. And this came from Germany. It's a German silver, and it's very easy to manipulate, and it's very thin, like my earrings are. And this is from the same time period. These thin silver cones and silver earrings. Now, men would wear silver armbands around the top part of their arms. They also would wear nose rings, silver nose rings, and tattoos, and men and women wore the silver earrings. Now, the way we know that is, again, people would describe it in their journals, military and traders, but then some of our leaders went to England to meet with King George. And they took their finery, and they took all their jewelry, and they took all of their finest things to meet with the king. And while they were there, they were extremely popular. Wherever they went, there would be a huge crowd that came to see them. And the painters would paint them. And then I'm not sure if they would sell the paintings, or I do know that they would use them, and the newspapers would draw them again and put them in their papers or their books about the visit. Now, neither one of us are wearing Cherokee moccasins. We bought these at the moccasin shop because they have a rubber sole to them. Because I thought it was going to be a lot more wet, and you do not want to slide and fall. Oh, Scrappy's got some, good. Now you can tell the different tribes from the style of moccasin. If you think about the out west tribes, and they would wear those moccasins like up to their knee, but Cherokees wore a style, and some of the other tribes of the southeast called pucker toe. And you can see that from Scrappy. And you'll see that it's gathered up at the toe, and that's why you call it a pucker toe. Now Scrappy has on leggings, and they would have been made out of wool, which is what Scrappy's is made out of, and then tied under the knee to keep them in place with a woven belt-like. I can't think of the word for that. Thank you, a garter. And then Dustin has a belt woven that way too. Again, it would have been fiber. These are made from a commercial yarn. Now Scrappy also has a bandolier bag, and you can see with the silver cones, but their shirts are plainer than mine. If you had a shirt like this, or like even Scrappy's that had color in it, and Dustin's is more of a plain, like a linen or a Stroud cloth. The color, especially one that had flowers and decorations on it, would have been a lot more expensive. So if you had a shirt like this, you would wear it to real important events, because that said that you or someone in your family was a really good hunter, and they were able to trade deer skin for this type of cloth, or for the beads, or for the silver. And you can see Scrappy has a silver gorget necklace, and that was very prized. That's a lot of silver that would have been very costly in terms of the deer skin. So, it's said that Cherokee men would put on all their fancy things to go over to the next village or to an important event. And then they would wear one shirt, and then they'd wear another shirt, and then they would wear another shirt, and that would say that they were really good hunters. So these guys are just wearing one shirt. So I don't know what that says about their hunting ability. He hunted enough firewood, so we'll let him get by with that. So, like I was saying, tattoos were also for men and women on the body and on the face. And I kind of laughed because ear gauges were also done. They would stretch out their earlobes so that they could wear lots more silver. Again, that showed that they were very successful. And I think about these young people that have tattoos, or how popular tattoos have gotten, and then like nose rings and piercings, and they think, and I think, you know, that was back 300 years ago. More than that, that was in the 1700s. So it's really true. If you keep something long enough, it's going to come back in style. So Anyway, we want to explain a little bit more about the bandolier bags. Women would use the baskets, and the men would use the bandolier bags because in the bags would have been everything that they needed to survive. If they had to leave quickly, there would be fish hooks, there would be dried meat, there would be food, there would be flint, striking stones to make the arrowheads and the spear points. So they don't like it when you call it a man purse. It's not a man purse. It's a bandolier bag because it comes around this way across the chest. So like I said, everything that they needed to survive quickly on the run. So thank you, Scrappy. And thank you, Dustin. Oh, I forgot.